Once again, welcome to my practical hands-on labs, and today I will talk you through how to analyze population using data samples in Excel. This hands-on session is part of the digital course data analysis using Excel. Assuming you have a sales records recorded over a defined period of time, this could be considered either as a sample of a much larger duration, or it could be considered as a population if the intention is to analyze all the sales within that period. The period may have very large data that may exceed the Excel limit of approximately 1 million records. This should, however, not mean that one cannot analyze over 1 million or even 100 million records using Excel and make conclusions that even derive fundamental recommendations from the analysis using Excel. This can only be achieved by sampling the population and extracting records from the main population, that is a representation of the entire population. In this session, I will illustrate how you can extract representative random samples that can be used for analysis. Using a dataset of approximately 5,000 observations, we will randomly extract 1,500 records in 5 different samples, with each sample containing approximately 300 records. Excuse me. For accurate results, you must make sure that the samples are independent. So the Excel sheet I've just projected is a fictitious company that is global, and these are sales records. So the assumption, or rather the journey we've just started, is backed on the statistical tests that have been proven over time that should you get samples, various samples from a given population, then there is a way that the sample extracted, if it is random enough, it can actually give statistical results similar to that of the population and make conclusions just based on a sample. So that is the journey, and the statistics we're going to look at are the unit sold mean, unit price mean, unit cost, total revenue, total cost, and total profit. The means will calculate the standard deviation, variance, and in future classes or future sessions, we will look at doing statistical tests that can actually indicate whether the random sample statistics can be used to make conclusions for the entire population. So this Excel sheet, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to sort by the region so that we remove any possibility or the risk of the data set not being random. So we could, and the reason why we've selected region, it's a name and it has nothing to do with the specific observation as compared to record ID. So when you sort that, what we will do, that's the time now, we can now insert record ID and populate this with records. So we are assuming each of these records, we sort them in ascending order. We have the record ID. And then the next thing we're going to do is to generate sample IDs. Sample IDs. So to generate sample IDs for each sample, so we'll have sample 1, sample 2, we are doing 5 samples, sample 3, sample 4, sample 5, and then we will put all the sample IDs together, and then we proceed from there. So the first sample, to do that, we'll do equals to round, and down. We are looking at the numbers between 1 and 5,000, and we don't want decimal places. So the first sample that has been selected for sample 1 is that. So we're going to select 300. Each sample we want them to have 300 observations. So we'll select 300 up to that point. And then we'll also label this one belong to sample 1. Yeah. So all these randomly generated records are for sample 1. So to replicate the same, we'll copy all that and come to sample 2, the special formulas, and then we make sure that we give it sample 2. And then we repeat the same for all the rest, all the others, sample 3, sample 3, 4, 5, and then we combine them. Now that we've done here, I've quickly just done that. So for sample 1, this 645 was was picked to belong to sample 1. This for record ID 4456, sample 2, record ID 2202, sample 3, record ID 2693, sample 4, and also 2603, sample 5. So this we can assume together the sample records, the records picked for sampling from the beginning, we have 1,500 in total. So the next thing is to use this record ID to extract them from the master data. Yeah, and we're going to use a VLOOKUP. So for VLOOKUP, we say sample ID VLOOKUP. We are looking for this record in this sample IDs table, and you're returning the sample number with an exact match. So sample 1, record 4 was picked to sample 3, record 8, sample 3, record 12, sample 5. So this, you're going to copy and paste the value, and then we start separating them. So sample 1 records, need to select sample 1 records. Sample 1 records, and then we do the same for sample 2 records. Need to remove this. We need to remove sample 2, and then we come to sample 2 records. Sample 2 records. And we need to repeat the same for the others. We need to repeat the same. Oops. Excuse me. So we have our samples. Sample 1. We need to take note of the count. We have 290 records for sample 1. Sample 2, we have 275 observations. Sample 3, we have 251. Sample 4, we have 247. And finally, sample 5, we have 219 observations. So we have our samples, and this is what you're going to use in subsequent classes to prove the statistical test. But we need to prepare this Excel sheet and capture the statistics that we will be proving. So the statistics we'll be proving will be mean, variance, standard deviation, or rather those are the statistics we'll be using during the statistical test. We need to add those in this Excel sheet, but that would come in subsequent videos. So we have our samples and we have our master data. So the question is, can we use this sample to come up with conclusions that reflect accuracy about the population's either mean or the population's mean on unit sold or unit price, and derive conclusion about them, or even use it in predictive analytics. That would be interesting sessions that are coming in subsequent recorded hands-on practical hands-on session. That will be it for today's session, and the next session would be about I'll show you how to enable Power Pivot Table. I'll talk about Power Pivot Table and show you how to enable it in Excel sheet and what exactly it is. To get automatic notifications, I encourage you to subscribe, and whenever I upload any new practical hands-on session, you get notified. Until next time, thank you for staying with me. Have a good day. Goodbye.